We're often asked, how do I pass my experience on after retirement? Often, the first thing that senior execs ask us is, how do I become a non-exec director? So it goes straight from experience in retirement to being a non-exec director. And my question back is always, why a non-exec? Paid, unpaid, and do you really realise the opportunity to build a portfolio of interests that can allow you to work on both a paid and unpaid basis, working in business, working with business, and more importantly, developing the talent of the future? And when we're asked the question about non-execdom, we actually just want to check out with people, have they really ready to, use a sport analogy, hang up their boots? Have they finished playing on the pitch? Do they want to stand on the touchline? And if so, what is it that they really want to pass on? So firstly, when it comes to non-execdom, the question mark is, what skills do you want to bring into the business? Do you want to be a professional non-exec director who is going to commit to developing organisations and actually build a paid portfolio? If you're serious about building a non-exec career, then you've got to be very clear about the skill set that you bring, what added value do you bring to the boardroom, and what is your previous governance experience and credibility. A lot of people talk to us about becoming a non-exec in sectors such as the NHS and the not-for-profits. And again, we're talking about defining the contribution that you would want to make to that organisation. Not simply being a body, what is the contribution that you can make? If you want to build a non-exec career, there are a number of things that you do need to consider. And there is a whole recruitment market out there that satisfies the non-exec world. But let's look further than that, and let's look at what else other skills that a non-exec type role requires. There are many organisations these days, for example, in the not-for-profit sector that require trustees. It's a non-exec by any other name, but of course it's a largely unpaid position, and it comes with responsibility when it comes to the Charity Commission and governance. Trustees are in very short supply, and the credibility that a director, somebody with board experience, brings to a trustee role is really critical. There's business mentors, both the government schemes, local council schemes, and actually directly. These days, apart from coaching, businesses require mentoring. They actually require seasoned professionals to say, let me tell you what I did. Coaching's great, but it often gets the individual to find the clues, whereas mentoring, this is what I did, why don't you try it? So mentoring is an option, non-execdom is an option, certainly trustees roles are an option, and then we start getting into sort of looser areas where you can become a critical friend, you can become a consultant. It's all about defining what it is that you want to get out of the career, for how long, but when it comes to non-exec roles, being realistic about the true experience you have and the attractiveness for you to that organisation and the commitment that you're prepared to give. So if you are considering becoming a non-executive director, first thing you have to be clear about is to actually pick the sector and the type of organisation that would benefit most from the skill set that you have. Be realistic. If you haven't worked within a FTSE 100 business, for example, it's highly unlikely that you'll ever secure a sought-after post as a non-exec within a FTSE. Look to the organisation to see where the skill set gaps are. So for example, if it's a highly regulated business and you don't have regulated business experience, then you would have to be very clear that they're looking for the softer skill set that you might bring. Also be very clear about what you don't want to take from your previous executive career into a non-exec role. We often see a lot of potentially finance directors who don't want to get involved in things like the audit committee. They want to come in and do other things. So you have to be clear. Fourthly, build a CV to support the non-exec career. Make sure that you're well networked and make sure that you get exposure to learning and development. The Institute of Directors in particular has a fantastic resource for non-exec directors. And number 6, build a network and be very clear that people understand not just what they're getting with you, but how they're getting it. And you in turn need to be clear that they fully understand the package of skills, experience and ambition that you have for that particular organisation. And the final key point is, remember, it is a non-exec role. It is one step removed. you're not there to be a quasi-exec. If you are, you need to remain in corporate life.